Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie, and today I'm going to discuss with you tips to succeed in any math class. So let's get started. So a quick note on success. Success is different for everyone, and when we take math classes, we all have very different motivations. For some, it can be grades. I want to get a good grade in this class. For others, it could be about experience. I want to take this linear algebra class because it seems interesting to me and I want to know more. Or it can be about fun. It can just be something that is going to enrich your learning experience, whether you're in college or in high school. It all depends on the student. So I'd really like for you to ask yourself, what does it mean for you to be successful in a math class? And what is your overall motivation when taking a class? Is it for fun? Is it because you want to get a good grade? Is it because you want to put something on your resume? It's definitely something to consider. And your answer to these questions will definitely guide you onto how to really form an objective. Like, what is your overall goal and how can you reach it? So here is that very famous movie, The Notebook, and he's asking, what do you want? What do you want? So ask yourself, what do I want out of my math class, out of my math learning experience? What do I want? So because of that, organization and planning are going to be your best friends amongst other things. But my first tip for you would be to set realistic goals each week. Now, you can do this by using a planner if you like something more physical, or if you're on your phone and that's easier for you, you can set reminders. There are many apps that you can download and basically log in your schedule and certain things you have to do, and your phone will tell you. Or if you're more of a Post-its person, you want to see it out and about, you don't really want a big list of things, you don't want your phone, you're not on your phone, whatever the situation may be, find a system that works for you that's going to help you stay on top of what you're doing each week. And I emphasize each week because it's easier and more manageable, and it can be more realistic than planning months ahead. But maybe that works for you. I'm just giving you another option to consider. And for example, I said this week I will review each section we cover before class and after class, and that can be manageable. If you are in a math class and you're covering 3 sections that week, you just review one before class. And so that gives you something to do. It gives you something attainable. It's something realistic, and you can measure how successful you've been that week and how much time you've been putting into that class. So definitely set realistic goals. You don't need for them to be super challenging. They don't need to be super easy, like go to class. Maybe that can be one of your goals, is to go to class. But if that's a little too simple for you, maybe you can add more elements to that. And that's really up to you. So definitely find out what works for you, okay? But definitely set goals each week. My tip number 2 is for you to show up, and not just show up to class, but showing up mentally, being prepared, being ready to be in class at that time, distraction free. And what I mean by that is for you to remain engaged in class, for you to ask questions, for you to ask for help, for you to take good notes, and most importantly, to put your phone on silent, to let everyone know that is near and dear to you who may want to reach you during that time and say, hey, I'm going to be in my math class during this time and I really want to focus and I really want to be there. So unless it's a dire emergency, I'm not going to be able to contact you, and I'm not going to be on social media. I'm not going to be posting my TikToks. And I won't be able to watch your TikToks when I'm in class, or whatever the situation may be that may be distracting you from being in class. I had a math professor who used to say, leave everything at the door. Not literally leave everything at the door, but mentally, emotionally, like separate yourself from you on the outside to you in class, because really that's the only way that you will be able to get the most experience out of being in lecture and asking your professor and getting your questions answered and connecting with other students is for you to be mentally there and to be distraction free as possible. So definitely something to consider. So focus, focus, focus. Being present in class is going to help you with a lot of things, not just being there as attendance points, but you'll be able to stay up to date with any of the announcements of your teacher, any changes to the syllabus, maybe changes in the course content, maybe changes for the upcoming exam, maybe changes in quiz dates. I've had professors who changed the dates of quizzes and said, actually, we're going to have it this week. It was supposed to be next week, but we're going to do it this Friday. And you wouldn't get that type of information if you weren't there. Of course, some professors email you, some do not. So it's really up to you how important it is for you to get whatever you want out of this class. And so being there is important. And maybe you'll have announcements like the class is no longer going to be in this room. That has happened to me before. It's a very extreme example, but I was in a geometry class where my professor literally said, we are no longer meeting in this classroom. We will be meeting in another building. So it's to your benefit for you to be there, for you to be present, and for you to pay attention. And being present will also help you learn. You're going to remove immediate distractions. Like I said, you're not going to be on your phone, right? We're not going to be distracted by our problems or by life. I know that things can be difficult, but when you're in class, definitely try to be there, present mentally. And when you are giving your attention to your professor, you're being guided by someone who has degrees, who has a master's or a doctorate's degree in their discipline. And so you're really getting that expert guidance. So definitely take advantage of that. And you can understand homework problems. A lot of professors lecture to the book. They literally read the section and write up some notes, find some examples from the example problems, and just say, here, we're going to do these problems, and then your homework is going to come exactly from the book. So being there is definitely going to help you not just learn the content, but being able to practice it outside as well, when you do homework. And also when you're there, your professor may emphasize specific topics that you may not have thought were important. Maybe a small application problem at the end of a section was just a small section, but to your professor, it's a big deal. And they may stress that, and they may give you more content or more information on that will be on the test, or maybe something for your fulfillment, for your enrichment learning experience. So you definitely want to be there for that. And finally, you get to connect with study groups. Peers, 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 peers are going to be your resource when it comes to exam time, when it comes to just completing assignments, everything, of course, within the academic conduct of your college or your school. But definitely being able to connect with other students to discuss material, to maybe get a different opinion on a homework problem that you did, whatever it is that you may need, connecting with study groups and being there in class to make those connections is important. And learning to ask for help as you need it is also really important, considering that college students and students in general have a lot of exams to tend to. So the earlier you get, experience with certain topics, the earlier you'll realize where you're having gaps in your understanding, and the earlier you'll be able to reach out to your peers, to the tutors in your campus, maybe to your professor, and getting some feedback on how to improve, or maybe going to your TA. So definitely the earlier you are engaging with the material, the earlier on you'll be able to ask for help. So that will definitely be helpful. So definitely a lot of things to consider here. And of course, here is this picture, I guess I took from the show, and he's saying, I can't right now, and he's driving. And my analogy is that if we drive distraction free, you should go to class distraction free, and you just say, I can't right now. it'll just have to wait until my math lecture is over. Okay? Hopefully that helps. And my tip number 3 is for you to take good notes. And good notes is different for everybody. Some people like to take notes on a tablet. Other people like, they're very old school. Pen and paper works for them. I'm one of those people. Find what works for you. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to find different apps or maybe different ways to note take. There's like the Cornell style note taking, but definitely be flexible with the way that you take notes, but make sure that you follow general note taking, these general note taking tips. Like make sure that your notes are neat. First of all, having clear headings, having a date, having the name of the class at the top, maybe the topic that you're discussing that day, the section in the book that you're covering is going to help you stay organized and will help you frame everything that you're going to put into that document or on that piece of paper. And definitely use different colors when appropriate. Definitely emphasize, use highlighters, use different colors, use a straight edge if you can, if it's necessary. If you're going to be graphing, that would be amazing. Maybe using graph paper, and just make sure that you can understand them. Your notes are going to be your best friend when you take a test. And so you definitely want them to make sense. You want them to be clear. You want them to be neat. And you want to know what it is that you were discussing. And ideally, you would be reviewing your notes before the exam anyway. So you would be able to edit, you would be able to maybe rewrite them, you would, organize them into a folder, into a binder. So ideally, you're going to be maintaining your notes. It's not just going to be something that you write and, scribble on whatever it is that you talked about that day and then throw away. No, it's going to be something that you are constantly looking over and making changes to and adding to, hopefully, as you learn more and you gain more understanding of certain topics that you had difficulty with. So definitely keep that in mind. Good notes are a math student's best companion. Here I've given you a wonderful example of my own notes. This is just what works for me. And I use different colors when appropriate. I, box these definitions, I underline. And for you, this may not work. Maybe you need more color. Maybe you want to use a tablet for note taking. Whatever works for you, there's really no right or wrong way, as long as it's neat and you're able to understand it and study off of it and make changes to it on a rolling basis as you review them for your exams and for your overall learning, because we're all just here to learn. Yeah, but these are my notes from my differential equations class that I took last year in March 2020. A lot of things were happening. It was a really busy time. So these notes have a lot of story behind them. It's a very crazy time. Okay, so with that, tip number 4 is for you to stay organized, to stay on top of your material, to stay on top of your notes from day one. So maybe have a notebook specifically for math, maybe have a binder specifically for math. I am one of those people, I love loose leaf paper. It's the more affordable option for me as a college student, so I like loose leaf paper, so I definitely invest in binders and dividers, and you can definitely do that. Maybe if you are using more technology, if you're more technology oriented and you're working off a tablet or a laptop, maybe having separate file folders for your class specifically. You should really be organizing for all of your classes, having your syllabus, having your lecture notes, having your notes, having, sample exams that your professors give to you so generously so that you can study off of them. But really having a file folder or multiple folders that are, with intent, they are there for a purpose. Don't just make folders for everything. Definitely stay organized in a meaningful way so that you can find things, and don't just throw them into random folders, because then finding them is going to be a nightmare. Definitely print out the syllabus. What I used to do is I used to use binders, and I used to buy the binders with the clear sleeve on on the front. It would go all around. And I would print out my syllabus and I would flip it to the last page. And I would read my syllabus, of course, which you should too. I would flip it all the way to the back where where my course outline was from lecture 1 all the way to the final exam. And I would just put it in there and just highlight each week what we did. And that's how I kept track of my math classes. I just sort of, made it that first and foremost thing that I saw once I opened or once I handled my binder. So you can do that too. Maybe you can print out the syllabus and have it inside of your folder. Maybe you can have it taped to the inside of a notebook, whatever works for you. And doing this will actually help you keep track of important dates, quizzes, exams, due dates for homework and things like that. You're going to be really busy in college. You're going to have a lot of dates, and they will be all over the place, and not just college, but really high school, middle school, whatever. You're going to be really busy. The study schedules that you have, the homework schedules that you have will definitely keep you busy. So definitely staying organized is a good way to go about it. Okay. And my tip number 5 is for you to be consistent. There is no point in doing things once and not giving them a fair chance. Definitely commit to being present in class, showing up regularly, working on your homework as soon as you can, asking questions, going to office hours, or asking your teacher off to the side for more help, or going to the tutoring services in your college or your school. Definitely do it on a consistent basis. Go and get to know your teaching assistants, your teachers, your professors, and really show that you are engaged. And overall, it's going to improve your overall experience, your learning experience. And if grades are a motivation for you, it will definitely help your grade because you are going to be actively engaging with the material. And lastly, honor your plans as best as you can. I know I discuss, for you to make plans every week, but life happens. Sometimes we can't fulfill our commitments for for one reason or another, and that's completely understandable. But if you can honor your plans, do so. Follow through and do your best and figure out what works for you. Maybe one week you make a lot of plans for all of your classes and you realize you may have overbooked yourself. So for the next week, you maybe don't make as many plans, don't make as many goals. You just try to be realistic with the time that you have free, because of course you're going to need time for yourself and for your life. School is just part of your life. It shouldn't be your entire life, but it is important. Okay. And my tip number 6 is for you to study often, to study well. Not all study time is quality time. It definitely, this is definitely something that I had to learn the hard way because I would be distracted. I would be on my phone. I would be checking emails, and that's not something you want to be doing when you're supposed to be studying or reviewing your notes for the week. So my quality study time tips would include for you to find a distraction-free zone. If you like working in libraries, maybe you want to find a personal workspace in your home. I know with everything that's been going on with online school, this has been something that a lot of people have started to pay attention to now. Having a personal workspace at home is now important. And having a clear mind, putting yourself in the mindset that you're going to study and review your notes is also really important. You can't be worried about something else or stressed out about something else in your life when you're supposed to be thinking about math. So definitely come with a clear headspace, ready to invest some time, and having good time management. And what I mean by that is for you to study on a consistent basis, for you to maybe study 30 minutes every other day, for you to review your notes instead of, having one huge chunk of time where you review everything. I think for me personally, it works better to just do it, to study on a continuous basis with short time, like for example 30 minutes every other day, maybe 45 minutes on one day, but I usually never go above an hour just because there are so many other classes I have to study for that it's easier to just study 45 minutes every other day. instead of studying 6 hours on one day. So that means that you will reduce your amount of cramming or your amount of, rush reviewing before an exam if you are, managing your studying time and you're being consistent, you're honoring your plans. And, when you review each section as thoroughly as possible, given the time, you're going to get a lot more out of it instead of cramming and only getting surface level content from your sections or from your homework. So definitely time management is going to be important. And like I mentioned, your consistent time commitments, what are you able to commit to sit and study or to review? Is it an hour every other day? Is it 45 minutes every other day? Is it 15 minutes every day? Is it 30 minutes every day? What are you comfortable committing your time to reviewing and to studying? And it's going to be different for everybody. Some people like to sit for 3 hours on a Saturday in a library and just go through everything for the week. If that's something that you want to consider because of time, definitely try to see if that works for you. If not, try to switch it up every week. And but the most important thing is for you to be consistent about it. And finally, breaks for self-care and mental recharge. You're a student, you're busy, you have so many things outside of school as well. So try to just take a break. You deserve it. And definitely pencil that in your weekly plans and your weekly goals, for you to take care of yourself, because if you're not okay, then you won't be able to go to class. You won't be able to get the most out of your experience in school if you're not okay. All right, so let's go on to the next slide, and that is it. Best of luck in your future math endeavors. I know that you can, and you know that you can. So find your success in whatever math class you're taking. And if you have any helpful hints that you would like to share with me or any tips on how to succeed in any math class, I would love to hear them or read them. Thank you so much for watching. And that is it for today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.